My name is Lien. I'm 18 years old. I was born after the world changed. The zombie virus came 20 years ago and broke everything. Cities fell. So many people died. The old world, the one with phones, airplanes, and big buildings, was lost. But life didn't stop. I grew up in a small place called Sunhill. We have solar power, clean water, and enough food. It's not like before, but it's not bad. We have lights at night, radios for news, and old videos that teach us things. My mom, May, runs the clinic. She learned how to help people by watching medical videos. She's smart and gentle. Everyone comes to her when they're sick or hurt. My dad, Ren, fixes things, old machines, solar panels, tools. He doesn't talk much, but he teaches me how stuff works. I study in the learning hall. It's not a real school, but we have screens and saved lessons from the old world. That's how I learned about science, history, and how to grow food. We don't have live teachers, just the voices and faces from the past. My two best friends are Tala and Jin. Tala's brave. She wants to fly one day, even though there are no working planes yet. Jin likes to take things apart and try to build them again. He's quiet but always thinking. Life here is calm. We grow food, fix things, and help each other. We have movie nights, small markets, and even music. But it's not like the old world. We don't really know how everything used to work. We're trying to rebuild, one step at a time. Learning from what was left behind. Sometimes I wonder what it would feel like to see a city full of lights, or ride a train, or talk to someone far away. This morning, Tala, Jin, and I went fishing at the old port. It's quiet there, just broken boats and the sound of waves. We never catch much, but we like being near the water. It feels peaceful. Tala spotted something floating near a half-sunken boat. Hey, she said, pointing, what's that? It was a box, wrapped tightly in thick plastic. We pulled it out together. It was heavy, maybe metal inside. The plastic was old but strong. Jin used his knife to cut it open. Inside was a small metal chest, shiny and untouched by time. There was a padlock, but it was rusty. Jin hit it once with a rock, and it snapped off. We opened the chest slowly. Inside was something strange, something exciting. A map. A world map. It was perfectly preserved, sealed in layers of plastic sheets. But what caught our eyes were the red circles marked on it. Tala leaned closer. There are two. Here, in our country. I felt my heart speed up. Jin had already pulled out his compass and was checking the direction. One of them is just 2 days' walk from here, he said. We stared at the map in silence for a moment. Then Tala said, we have to tell someone. So we did. We brought it to the village head, Mr. Ansel. He looked at it for a long time without saying a word. Then he called for the council. Later that night, word spread. They were asking for volunteers to go check the marked spot. No one knew what it could be, danger, supplies, maybe something important from the past. Tala looked at me with a grin. We're going, right? Jin nodded. Of course. I was excited too, but I knew we had to talk to our parents first. That was the hard part. At dinner, I told mine. There's something marked on this old map, I said. Just 2 days from here. They're sending a team to check. I want to go. My mom froze with her spoon halfway to her mouth. You want to leave the village? She asked, voice tight. It's not that far, I said quickly. And it might be important. My dad set down his fork. Lien, he said, outside isn't safe. The roads, the woods, we don't know what's out there. I know, I said quietly. But we've been stuck here our whole lives. We're rebuilding, but we don't even know what's out there. What if this helps us? They didn't answer right away. Finally, Mom said, I don't want to lose you. We already lost so much. I'll be careful, I said. I'll go with Tala and Jin. We'll stay together. That night, they didn't say yes. But in the morning, my dad gave me his old compass. He just pressed it into my hand and said, come back safe. We left the next morning. Tala, Jin, and I packed light, just food, water, sleeping rolls, and a small radio in case we needed help. The village gave us a flare and a map copy. Mr. Ansel reminded us not to take risks. If it looks dangerous, he said, turn back. I carried the original map in my pack, wrapped in cloth. But there was something else from the chest that I didn't show everyone. A photo. It was inside the chest, tucked behind the map. A printed picture, still clean and sharp like it was taken yesterday. It showed a family, 3 people. A man and woman stood close together, smiling. They were dressed neatly, like from the old world. Clean clothes, soft hair, calm eyes. The man wore a dark jacket, the woman a red dress. And in front of them stood their daughter, maybe 5 years old. She held a teddy bear almost as big as she was. She looked happy, safe. I don't know why, but the photo stuck with me. I kept looking at it. They seemed like a family from before everything fell apart. Before fear, before fences, before the world forgot how to live like that. What were they trying to save? Why mark these places? Were they trying to leave something behind? As we walked, I kept the photo in my jacket pocket. Sometimes I'd reach in and touch it, like it might answer me. The road out of Sunhill was rough. The path was overgrown, and parts of the old highway were cracked and covered in moss. But the weather was good, the sun warm on our backs. We passed broken signs and rusted cars covered in vines. Birds sang in the trees, and every now and then we saw deer in the distance. The world was quiet, almost too quiet. Not like the horror stories we heard from the older people. At night, we camped near an old gas station. Tala built the fire. Jin checked the map again. It should be just another day, he said, pointing. If the roads haven't shifted too much. We ate in silence for a while. Then Tala looked at me. What do you think's out there? She asked. I looked at the flames. I don't know, I said. But that family, they wanted someone to find it. Maybe it's a trap, Jin said softly. Or maybe, I said, it's something they couldn't say out loud. We slept close to the fire that night, the stars above us, the silence thick. And in my pocket, the picture stayed warm against my side. I didn't know what we'd find. But I had a feeling the world was about to change, again. After 2 days of walking, we finally reached the spot. We were sore, sweaty, and covered in dust. Our shoes were muddy. Our legs felt heavy. But when we saw it, we just stood there, confused. It was just plain land. Flat, open, dry. Tall grass, a few scattered rocks, and nothing else. No building, no sign, no clue. Tala groaned and dropped her pack. That's it, she said, looking around. Jin pulled out the map and checked again. This is the spot, he said. It has to be. I felt a tight knot in my chest. 2 days of walking for this? Jin walked to the center of the field. He stood there quietly, looking at the ground like it might talk back. We'll camp here, he said. Maybe there's something we're not seeing. So we set up our tent under a tall tree nearby. The sun was starting to go down, painting the sky orange and pink. Tala started a small fire. We didn't talk much that night. The next morning, something changed. Tala was walking around, yawning, when she stopped. Hey, what's this? She said, pointing. It was a pole. Thick, sturdy, metal. Sticking out from the ground at an angle, half hidden by weeds. It didn't look like it belonged there. Tala grabbed it with both hands and tugged. It's stuck, she muttered. Leave it, I said. It's probably nothing. But Tala never listened to that kind of advice. She braced her foot against a rock and pulled harder. Suddenly, the ground gave a low, deep groan, like something shifting below us. Wait, Jin shouted, standing up. Then the whole piece of land under the pole cracked and fell. A huge chunk of the earth just collapsed inward, like a sinkhole. We stumbled back, eyes wide. Dust flew into the air. Birds flew off from nearby trees. When the dust settled, we stepped closer, slowly. There was a hole. Deep, dark, about 2 meters wide. Inside, broken soil and old support beams stuck out from the edges. And at the bottom, something strange. A path, not made of dirt or stone, but a slanted concrete slope going down. Half covered in dirt and vines. And at the end of it, a large, rusted steel door. Jin's eyes lit up. That's not natural. Tala grinned. Told you the pole was weird. I stared at the door, my heart racing. It was real. Something hidden beneath our feet this whole time. We climbed down carefully. The air was cooler below, and it smelled like old metal and wet stone. The door was thick, round at the top, and covered in rust, but still strong. There were faded markings on it, letters we couldn't fully read. Maybe a name, maybe a warning. We looked at each other. No one said a word, but I could see it on their faces. Excitement, curiosity, and a little fear. I reached out and touched the door. It was cold. We spent hours trying to open the steel door. Pushed, pulled, hit it with rocks. Nothing worked. It was sealed tight, like it hadn't been opened in decades. Tala kicked it in frustration. Maybe it's fake, she muttered. It's real, Jin said, brushing dust off the faded letters. We're just not strong enough. I walked around the area, trying to think. Then I noticed something. A small metal grate at the edge of the hill, half buried under dry weeds. Guys, I called out. Come look at this. It was an air vent. Old, narrow, and rusty, but still solid. I dropped my bag and pulled out the small shovel I always carried. We dig here, I said. We took turns digging. The ground was dry and hard at first. But we kept at it. By evening, our hands were sore and our faces dirty. We'd uncovered part of the vent shaft, but it went deeper than we thought. We made camp again beside the hole. Tala heated water for instant noodles. We passed around bread and jerky in silence, too tired to talk. The sky was clear, stars everywhere. Jin leaned back, looking up. "You think we're the first ones to find this?" he asked. "Feels like it," I said. The next morning, our muscles ached. My shoulders were sore, my palms raw. But we kept digging. By noon, we found another vent. And then another, further out. One of them was broken, bent open at the edge like something had hit it long ago. We cleared the vines and debris. The hole was big enough for someone to crawl through. We looked inside. Dark, silent, but the air felt cooler, like it led somewhere deep. Jin grabbed his flashlight. "I'll go first," he said. "Be careful," I whispered. He slid in slowly, feet first, then dropped down with a thud. 2 meters, he called. "I'm okay." We heard his footsteps echo faintly. Tala and I peeked in after him. Below us was a concrete floor. Dusty, cracked, but flat and strong. The vent had opened into a narrow hallway, walls smooth, lined with pipes and faded lights on the ceiling. Jin's voice echoed back. "There's more down here." I looked at Tala. She looked at me, eyes wide and shining. We were scared, but more than that, we were ready. We were finally inside. We climbed down one by one. The air was thick with dust, but it wasn't choking. It smelled like metal, old water, and silence. The hallway was narrow, just enough for 2 people side by side. Concrete walls, pipes running along the ceiling, and lights that hadn't worked in years. Our footsteps echoed softly as we walked, flashlights cutting through the dark. None of us spoke. We were listening, for voices, machines, footsteps. But there was nothing, just the quiet hum of the past. Then Jin stopped. "There," he said, pointing. "A door. Steel, solid, faded numbers on it, 014. No lock, just a handle." Jin stepped close and pressed his ear against the cold metal. We waited. "I don't hear anything," he whispered. "Not a sound." Tala gripped a rusted metal pipe we'd brought for safety. I held mine tighter, heart thumping. Jin slowly turned the handle. The door creaked open. Inside, nothing moved. No lights, no voices. Just a small square room with dust covering everything. It was a security room. Rows of old monitors lined the wall, blank and dead. A desk in the center with a broken chair behind it. A wall phone hung on the side, but when Jin lifted it, there was no dial tone. Just a soft click, and then silence. "This place is dead," Tala said. "Not completely," I said, pointing. On the wall behind the monitors was a map, big, faded, but still clear. Jin stepped closer, brushing dust off the glass cover. His eyes widened. "It's not just one building," he said. "This whole thing, it's a base. A survivor base." We all leaned in. The map showed a huge layout. Dozens of rooms, storage, medical, dorms, a water system, even a garden section, labeled in the old language but simple enough to understand. Tala stared at it. "How did no one find this?" she whispered. "I don't know," I said. "But we just did." The room was cold, but I felt something warm in my chest. Like we were touching a piece of something bigger. Something that had waited a long time for someone to find it. "This could change everything," Jin said quietly. And I knew he was right. We followed the map down another hallway. The lights didn't work, but our flashlights showed the signs on the wall. Medical, an arrow pointing left. The air smelled stronger there, like old alcohol and something bitter. We pushed open the door. It creaked loudly. Inside, it was still. Dust floated in the air like tiny ghosts. There were beds with straps, machines with blank screens, metal trays with rusted tools. Tala shivered. "Creepy," she said. "Looks like no one's been here in years," Jin added. I walked past the beds, careful not to step on broken glass. Drawers were half open, cabinets still full of bandages and bottles. It was quiet, but not dangerous. Just old. We didn't stay long. None of us liked the feeling in that room. Too many memories we couldn't see. We moved on, down another hallway. Then we saw the sign, Garden Sector. Tala was the first to push open the door. A hiss of stale air escaped. We stepped in, and stopped. The room was huge, glass ceiling above, cracked but mostly whole. Tall racks lined the walls with empty trays. Pipes ran along the ceiling and floor, connecting tanks and tubs. Fish tanks, plant trays, grow lights, drip tubes. "Whoa," Jin whispered. "This is advanced hydroponics, aquaponics," words I'd only heard in old video clips. But here it was, real. There were still seed packs in sealed drawers. Plastic jugs full of labeled nutrients. A shelf had a small box with old books and guides. Tala opened one, flipping through. Beginner's Manual, Hydro Farming Systems, she read out loud. Step by step, she looked up, eyes wide. Lien, this could feed everyone. I felt my chest tighten. Hope, that was the feeling. Real hope. This place, they grew food here, I said softly. And maybe helped others before. Jin opened a tank lid and saw dried algae. He smiled. Still smells like fish. We looked around, not saying much. Just walking through the past. A past that might help our future. I can't wait to tell Dad, I said quietly. I imagined him, eyes full of disbelief and joy. The whole village, smiling, planting again. Not in dry soil, but here, with real systems. Real tools. Real food. Tala closed the book gently. We need to bring this home. After the garden, we kept walking. There was more to see. The dorms were down a long, silent hallway. Rows of doors, each marked with numbers. We opened one. Inside, 2 bunk beds. Thin mattresses, old blankets, slippers still on the floor, as if someone left in a hurry. Photos taped to the wall. A young couple smiling. A stuffed rabbit on the corner of a bed, its ears drooped with dust. Feels like, they just vanished, I whispered. Tala nodded, slowly. They left everything. We walked past room after room, all the same. Empty, but full of stories. A torn bag, a kid's drawing, a hairbrush with strands still in it. Then we found a bigger door, marked in red, Admin QTRS, R3. Jin pushed it open. Inside, the air was cooler. And different. The room had a carpet. A soft one. A single bed, wider than the bunks. A small shelf of books. A bathroom with a mirror still intact. And on a small desk by the window, a closed laptop. Next to it, an old black cell phone. I stepped in slowly, heart thudding. There was a quiet power in the room. Like someone important had lived here. Tala opened a drawer. Inside was a notebook. Leather cover, worn at the edges. She handed it to me. There were names written in neat handwriting. Dozens of them. People who lived here. Next to each name, a code, maybe numbers. Some had small notes. Medic, engineer, guard. At the end of the list, something else. Contact. Base 12 Northern Site. Base 8 Eastern Tunnel. There were others, Jin said softly. Other survivor bases. Tala opened a second notebook from another drawer. This one was different. It started like a diary. Day 2. The outbreak happened so fast. I don't know how it started. People were screaming, biting each other. The news said it was a virus. But it spread faster than anything I've seen. The handwriting was shaky in some parts. Scared. Day 5. I saw a child turn. He tore through a man's throat like it was paper. The worst part, the child still had tears in his eyes. Like some part of him was still inside. I closed the notebook for a second. My hands were shaking, then opened it again. Day 19. We sealed the base. We couldn't trust anyone bitten. Sometimes they changed in hours. Sometimes in minutes. One screamed while her bones snapped. We had to shoot her. I can't forget the sound. Jin looked pale. Tala sat down, staring at the wall. I flipped to the last page. Day 547. Word from Base 8. They say someone made a vaccine. A real one. Tested. Working. No one infected after the shot. But, no one came to confirm. We've lost contact since last week. And that was it. No ending. No goodbye. Just silence. This place wasn't just a base, I said quietly. It was witness to the end of everything. And yet, the fact it still stood. The garden. The notes. The names. It meant something had survived too. Even after the horror. Tala whispered, do you think Base 8 is still out there? Jin stood. We find out. We decided to take the 2 notebooks. Carefully, like they were something sacred. And the guidebook from the garden, too. Wrapped them in my extra shirt, tucked them in my bag. We'll bring these home, I said. They'll know what to do. After that, we checked the storage room. It was marked just down the hallway from the dorms. When we opened the door, we stopped cold. Scattered on the floor, bullets. Some still in boxes, some loose like they fell during a rush. A broken rifle leaning against the wall. 2 compound bows with dusty strings. A bucket of arrows. Old army uniforms, folded neatly in one corner, still holding their shape. Ropes. Flashlights. A belt of small tools hanging by the door. Jin walked slowly inside. This place was ready for war, he said. I picked up one of the arrows. Still sharp. Clean. They didn't just survive here, they fought for it. On the other side of the room were shelves. Most of them empty now. Boxes crushed and torn open. But the labels were still there. Canned beans, Tala read. Corned beef, I said, pointing. And, luncheon meat? Jin added, raising a brow. We looked at the pictures on the boxes. Golden brown slices, red sauce, thick meat. We'd never eaten those before. Never even seen them for real. Just boiled potatoes, dried fish, flatbread back home. Tala touched the box like it was magic. They had so much. Now it's gone, I whispered. But we know it existed. We didn't take anything from that room. It felt too heavy, too full of memories. But the notebooks, and the guidebook, those felt different. Useful, hopeful. We made our way to the steel door on the far side of the hallway. The latch was tough, but Jin forced it open after a few tries. It creaked loudly as it swung out into the night. The air outside hit us like a wave. Cool, damp, smelled like leaves and soil. I looked up, stars again. Same sky as home, but everything felt different now. Jin checked his old watch. 8 p.m., too dark to walk back. We made camp outside the door. Built a small fire with dry sticks and leaves. Tala boiled water for noodles again. We ate quietly, sitting close. I looked at the bag next to me. Inside it, truth, history, knowledge. I leaned back against my pack, staring at the dark tree line. We're bringing home something big, I whispered. None of us said anything after that. We just lay there under the stars, with full hearts and tired eyes. And for the first time in a long time, I felt like something had changed. We came back after 4 days. As soon as we reached the edge of the village, I saw my parents running toward me. My mom hugged me so tight I could barely breathe. Then she pulled back and smacked my arm. 4 days, Lien, she scolded, eyes wet. Do you know how worried we were? My dad just stood there, hands on his hips, but I saw the relief in his face. You should have sent a message. Anything. I'm sorry, I said quietly. We lost track of time. Tala's mom was crying too. Jin's younger brother was yelling at him and hugging him at the same time. It was chaos, but it was love. Later that day, we all went to the big hall for a meeting. The village head sat in the middle, quiet and serious. We told them everything, how we found the map, the garden systems, the dorms, the weapons, and the notebooks. We placed the notebooks on the table in front of the village head. Everyone leaned in, names of survivors, contact to other bases, and the diary, the one that spoke of how the world ended. There was silence after that. Then a voice said, we have to study this. Another said, we need to learn the farming system. Start again. People smiled, nodded, even the old ones who usually never smiled. Hope. I felt it again. That night, I went home. I was so tired my legs shook. But dinner was ready. Warm soup, bread, and my parents waiting at the table. We ate slowly, and I told them everything in detail. About the garden, the photos, the diary. My dad listened quietly, nodding. My mom wiped her eyes now and then. They were like us, she whispered. Just trying to live. I slept so deeply that night, I didn't even dream. 2 days later, the village head called another meeting. This time, he had a plan. He would go back to the base with some builders, a few young people, and those who could read the notebooks better. They prepared tools, backpacks, rope. Everyone helped. At the same time, some villagers started building the hydroponics system. Using the guidebook we brought. Plastic tubs, water barrels, pipes, they worked together like never before. I felt proud, like we started something good. The next afternoon, me, Jin, and Tala went back to the old port. We sat with our fishing rods, like nothing had changed. But everything had. Jin stared out at the water. Think they'll find something we missed? Maybe, Tala said, pulling her line. We didn't check every room. I looked at the horizon. Quiet waves, blue sky, the world felt bigger now. We should check the next base, I said. They both looked at me. The other red circle on the map. It's not far, I added. Just a few days' walk. Tala smiled slowly. Jin gave a small nod. And just like that, we started planning again. A few days after the village team left for the base, they came back. They were carrying bags and crates, ropes, tools, seeds, and things I didn't even recognize. Everyone in the village gathered near the meeting hall. People clapped when they saw them. Some even cheered, but the smiles faded when one of the men stepped forward and said, we found something else too. He paused, looked down, then said softly, we found bones. In some of the dorm rooms. The hall went quiet. You could hear the wind outside. They were people who stayed behind, he said. Maybe they volunteered. Maybe they were ordered to stay. To guard the base. To shut it down safely if things went wrong. I swallowed hard. I thought about the quiet beds. The stuffed rabbit. The shoes by the door. I thought someone just left them behind. But now, I knew. They had stayed, while the others ran or escaped or moved on. These people stayed. They didn't just stay behind to lock the place. They stayed so that if the people who left ever came back, the base would still be there. Safe. Waiting. Maybe they hoped. Maybe they believed that the world outside would heal one day. And when it did, someone would return. Back in the village, things started changing. The garden behind the hall was now full of tubs and pipes. Water flowing, small green leaves sprouting. People studied the guidebook every night. Some helped rebuild the greenhouse. Others cleaned and repaired the tools we brought back. The village felt alive. Not just surviving anymore, but growing. Every day, I watched it with quiet joy. Then, one afternoon, the village head called us again. "You want to go find the second red circle?" he asked, arms crossed. "Yes," I said. Jin and Tala stood beside me, nodding. Our parents were nervous again. Mom sighed. "Another trip?" "It's up in the mountains," Dad said. "That's a longer walk." "I know," I said. "But what if there's something more? Something we need?" There was silence. Then, slowly, they agreed. We packed well this time. More food, blankets, a rope, tools. Took the second map and set off early morning. It took longer, almost a week. Up rocky paths, through thick trees, and cold nights. We were tired, but we didn't stop. Then one afternoon, we heard water. Loud, rushing water. We followed the sound, pushing through tall grass and branches. And then, we saw it. A waterfall. It was wide and tall, pouring down the side of a cliff. The water crashed into a clear pool below, smooth stones at the bottom. We could see fish, small silver ones, swimming near the surface. The air smelled fresh. Cool mist touched our faces. The sound of the water was strong but peaceful. We just stood there, quiet for a while. Then Jin pointed. "There," he said. At the side of the waterfall, built into the rock wall, was a door. Big. Steel. It looked like the first basie's door, but newer. The edges were covered in moss, but the center was clean. There was a big round wheel in the middle. Jin stepped up and touched it. "It's cold," he said. He grabbed the wheel and started turning it. It was stiff. Rust groaned. Tala and I helped. After a few hard turns. Click. Then the door rolled to the side with a heavy sound. Cold air came out from inside. It smelled like metal and stone. We all stared into the dark hallway. It was quiet. Still. I felt the same nervous excitement as the first time. "Looks untouched," Jin said. I nodded. "It's been waiting." And together, we stepped into the second base. The hallway was short. The floor was smooth, like polished concrete. Our footsteps echoed a little as we walked. This base felt different, smaller than the first one, but cleaner. No dust, no spider webs, like someone came back once in a while to check on it. We turned into a small room. Rows of metal shelves lined the walls. On them were survival kits, neatly packed in green bags. Jin opened one. "Whoa," he said. "Canned food, flashlights, water filters." Tala found another with sealed medical supplies and blankets. I picked up a can. The label showed a bowl of stew. "I've never eaten this before," I said, smiling. "Me neither," Tala laughed. "But I'd love to try it." There were boxes with writing on them. Emergency rations, long life. Water purification tabs, matches, windproof. Everything looked organized, like it was waiting for the next people to use it. We found a small control room too. A few switches. A quiet hum from a corner. "The power's still running," Jin said. He flipped a switch. The light above us blinked once, then stayed on. Tala whistled. "Nice." I looked around. This base wasn't as big as the first. No dorms. Just a few rooms. Supplies. Power. Water from the nearby stream. "It's like a backup base," I said. "Or a place to rest on the way to somewhere bigger," Jin added. Whatever it was useful. We smiled at each other. It wasn't full of secrets like the first base. That night, we slept inside the base. The lights stayed on. The air felt warm and safe. No bugs. No strange sounds. Just silence. Peaceful silence. I hadn't slept that well in days. The next morning, Jin stretched and said, "Let's swim before we head back." Tala laughed. "You just want to show off your diving again." We all went to the waterfall. The water was cold but fresh. We took off our shoes, jumped in, and swam like little kids. The fish were everywhere, big and slow. Jin caught one with his hands, and Tala cheered. I helped clean it, and we built a small fire near the rocks. We smoked the fish, watched it cook slowly while sitting on a flat stone. It was the best meal we had in days. Better than dried bread, I said with a grin. After we were full and rested, we packed a few things from the base. One food kit, a water filter, and a sealed flashlight. We made sure everything else was put back in place. Before we left, Jin walked back to the steel door and turned the wheel. Clunk. The door rolled shut. It felt right, like we were protecting it, just like the people before us. The walk home took longer, but we were smiling the whole way. We had something important to share. When we reached the village, our parents hugged us tight. Mom teared up. You're safe. Thank God. Then we were taken to the meeting hall again. The village head stood up when he saw us. Well, he asked. It's real, I said. There's another base. Smaller. But it works. There's still power. Jin opened his bag and placed the food kit on the table. Tala put the flashlight next to it and turned it on. The light hit the wall. Everyone gasped. It still works, one man whispered. I opened the water filter box and held it up. The older villagers leaned closer. One of them, Uncle Remy, touched the box with shaky hands. I used to use this, before everything went dark, he said softly. The room went quiet. Then one woman smiled and said, we can build again. I looked around and saw hope on every face. Not just relief, but real, true hope. That night, as I sat with my parents eating dinner, I told them about the fish, the waterfall, and how the light turned on with just one switch. Dad nodded slowly. You kids found something good. Mom smiled, holding my hand. Maybe the world isn't lost after all. I went to bed with a full stomach and a full heart. A few days later, some of the older villagers packed their bags and headed to the second base. Uncle Remy was one of them. He used to be an engineer, back before the world changed. Auntie Salma went too. She used to work in a hospital. She said she wanted to check the supplies. Are you sure you'll be okay climbing up there? I asked Uncle Remy, handing him a walking stick. He smiled and patted my shoulder. I may be old, Lien, but my legs still work. And this old brain still remembers a few things. We all waved as they left. They had strong backs with them, young adults who could help carry things back. While they were gone, our village felt alive. Everyone was busy, excited. The hydroponics from the first base were being copied using old plastic tubes and water tanks. The aquaponics too, using fish we caught from the stream nearby. I helped mix the solution. Tala learned how to check the water pH. Jin helped build the racks for the plants. Don't spill it, I warned him as he carried the water container. He laughed, it's just water. Special water, I reminded him. With nutrients. Even the younger kids were helping. They passed tools, held buckets, or just watched with wide eyes. One little boy, Ben, kept following me around. Lien, he said, tugging my shirt. Will this make us never go hungry? I looked at the green sprouts growing from the tubes and smiled. Yes, Ben, if we do it right, we'll always have food. My parents helped too. Dad fixed the wooden beams for the new growing shed. Mom was teaching some neighbors how to dry and store herbs. There was laughter in the air. Real laughter. I hadn't heard that in a long time. It felt like we were no longer just surviving. We were growing, together. That evening, I sat outside with my friends, looking at the stars. You think the people from the past ever imagined we'd be using their stuff like this? Tala asked. Jin laid back on the grass. Maybe they hoped we would. 6 months passed. Things changed faster than I ever imagined. Our small village was now full of life. Fresh vegetables grew in racks by every home. We had clean water, extra food, even light at night, powered by small systems we built from old base parts. People were smiling more. Kids were healthier. No more dull eyes from hunger. No more endless waiting for help that never came. The old world wasn't just history anymore. It was part of us now. Jin, Tala, and I kept helping, learning everything we could. Fixing, planting, testing. We became useful, not just curious kids. Then, one morning, the village head called us in. There's another base, he said, pointing at the map. His finger landed on a spot far away, past the river bend and over the broken bridge. We believe it holds more supplies, maybe even power systems. My heart beat faster. He looked at us. You three found the first two. We'd like you to lead again. This time, we'll send 2 of our strongest guards with you. That made my parents feel better. But, the village head added, the bridge is still broken. You'll need to figure out how to cross. Later that afternoon, we went to see the bridge. It used to be big, steel and stone, wide enough for cars. Now, it was cracked in the middle, with rusted beams hanging down like broken arms. One side had fallen into the river. The other still stood, but just barely. Tala threw a rock down. It splashed far below. No way we're walking across that, he said. Jin nodded. Too risky. And if we fall, we lose everything. One of the guards, Mira, stepped forward. She was tall and quiet, always watching. We bring boats, she said. We row all the way. Safer than walking into the city. That caught my attention. The map showed the path passed through an old city. Tall buildings, broken streets. Too quiet, too many shadows. There could be danger there, I said. Zombies? Ben, the younger boy, asked, standing nearby. Maybe, I answered honestly. Or wild dogs. Or just, places falling apart. So we agreed. We'd take boats, skip the city, and row around the long way. It would be slower, but safer. The boat we brought this time was bigger, strong enough for all 6 of us, me, Jin, Tala, Mira, and the 2 village guards, Joel and Karo. It glided smoother across the sea. With 4 of us rowing at once, we moved faster, taking turns resting. The sea was calm. The sun sat above us like a watchful eye. No wind, just the splash of paddles. Keep low. Don't splash too much, Karo said quietly. We all nodded. After 2 hours, we reached the other side. We tied the boat behind a tree and covered it with leaves and branches, just like before. Then we began the climb uphill. No one talked. Our steps were soft. The forest was too still. After an hour, we stopped under a tree. Drank water. Ate some bread. Then we saw it. The third base. And it was nothing like the others. A tall concrete fence circled the whole place. It looked strong, freshly repaired in some areas. Steel posts with floodlights on top, some flickering weakly. But it was what we heard that made us freeze. Low growls, scratching, groans, from the other side of the fence. Zombies. Tala whispered, they're still here. We all crouched lower. We saw shadows moving near the inner yard. Slow, jerky movements. They're fending them off, Joel muttered. Still fighting. The base had lights. That meant someone was inside. Maybe survivors. But the fence, it wasn't just to keep people out. It was to keep the dead from getting in. Mira cursed under her breath. This isn't good. I stared through the trees. My heart beat fast. Our village hadn't seen a zombie in 10 years. We were safe, protected by the sea. But this was a different world. It was the old world, still alive and rotting on this island. We can't risk it, I said softly. Jin turned to me. But what if they need help? I looked at him. And what if they're infected? What if we bring the virus back? Karo added, she's right. If even one of us carries it home, our whole village could fall. We pulled back into the trees and climbed up to rest. One person kept watch. No fires. No lights. I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking of those groans. The scratching. The smell of rot in the air. I thought of my parents. Of little kids playing by the fields. Of how peaceful our home was. If we went closer, if they saw us, what would happen? Would they be grateful? Or scared? Or dangerous? I didn't know. And I didn't want to find out. The next morning, we sat together in the trees. We go home, I said. We tell the village to mark this area as off-limits. We keep our people safe. Tala nodded. I don't want to see one of those things again. Same here, Jin added. That smell was enough. We climbed down, careful not to leave tracks. As we walked back to the boat, we kept looking behind us. We didn't talk. We just wanted to go home. When we got back to the village, everyone came to greet us. At first, they smiled, just happy we returned safe. But when we told them what we saw, everything changed. Jin stood beside the village head. His voice was calm but serious. There are still zombies. The third base, it's fighting them off. They're still out there. The village head, old and quiet, stood up slowly. His face tightened. Zombies, he whispered. I stepped forward. We didn't go near. We stayed hidden. But we saw them, heard them, the groans, the smell. We know what it was. Gasps filled the meeting hall. An older woman dropped to her knees, holding her chest. Another old man sat down hard on the floor, his legs shaking. No, not again, someone muttered. Some of them had survived the early days. 20 years ago, they knew what it meant. Fear returned to their eyes. The village head raised his voice. We are safe, for now. The sea separates us. No one here is infected. But if even one person brings the virus back, it will spread. Fast. We can't let that happen. He turned to the guards. Assign 2 people to watch the shore. Day and night. If anyone strange comes, we must know. Joel and Karo nodded. Later, the elders and some of the builders gathered again. They had another meeting. When it ended, the village head stood before everyone and announced, we will prepare a second base. Just in case. The smaller base near the waterfall will be turned into a safe shelter. A backup home. People nodded. Some looked relieved. Others still looked scared. The mood changed. The village felt heavier now. Not sad, but alert. The kids didn't laugh as much. The adults walked with more purpose. I sat with my parents at dinner. My dad kept staring at his bowl. My mom said softly, "You all did the right thing. Thank you for coming back safe." I nodded, but inside, I felt the weight too. If we hadn't gone to the third base, we would have thought the world was healed. That the nightmare ended, but it didn't. It was just far away. For now, we were lucky. The sea kept us safe. But danger was out there. And now, we all knew. We needed to stay ready. After that, everything changed in the village. We weren't just farming and learning anymore. Now, we were training too. The guards set up practice drills. We used wooden sticks like weapons. Tala made fake, zombie heads, out of pumpkins to practice hitting. It was a bit funny at first, until we remembered why we were doing it. The old villagers helped a lot. They had seen the real thing. Zombies don't run fast, Uncle Ramil told us one day during training. But they don't stop. You panic, you die. He looked around at the younger ones. If you freeze when you see them, they'll bite you. You must move, always move. That hit me hard. I imagined someone I knew, maybe even me, standing still in shock while a zombie came close. We needed to be ready in our heads, not just our hands. So we started mind training too. We held drills where someone dressed up like a zombie and walked slowly. The rest had to respond, either run, hide, or fight with the stick. The first few times, some of the kids cried or stood frozen. But over time, we got better. Even the small kids had roles. They were taught where to run, which adults to follow. We practiced alarms using metal pans and loud whistles. The village was turning into something more than just a home. It was becoming a place that could survive. At night, we gathered to listen to stories from the elders. "How did you escape the first outbreak?" Jin asked one evening. A grandma named Lita told us, "I hid in a cabinet for 2 days. No food, no water. I heard them chewing outside, the screams. I still hear them sometimes." We sat quiet. She added, "What saved me, was staying quiet. And not giving up." I waited. All those stories, they were like lessons. They taught us not just what zombies could do, but what people had to do to survive. We wrote everything down in a notebook. A survival book. Leon's village guide, we jokingly called it. But it wasn't a joke. A lot has changed. We all agreed that Base 2 would be our safest place. It had clean water, working lights, and the peaceful sound of the waterfall nearby. It felt alive. The first thing we worked on was the fence. We didn't want any chance for danger to come in. Everyone helped, even the older kids. We dug holes with shovels, hammered in the strong metal rods we took from the power plant, and stacked rocks at the bottom. It wasn't perfect, but it was strong enough to keep anything out. I remember sweating so much my shirt stuck to my back. My hands were sore, but I didn't care. I just kept thinking, we have to make this safe. Then we built small houses inside the fence. Just a few at first. They were made of wood and old metal sheets. It wasn't like the fancy houses in the old world, but it was dry, warm, and ours. We also moved the hydroponics and fish tanks from Base 1. That was hard. Some parts were heavy, and we had to carry them down the mountain. Jin said, "It'll be worth it." And he was right. We followed the guidebook, cleaned the water tanks, planted lettuce, tomatoes, even strawberries. Tala found the seeds in one of the old cabinets, sealed tight in glass jars. I almost cried when I saw the first tiny green leaf come out of the water tray. We also made fish traps down by the river. It was a steep walk, but the water was clear, and we could see the fish swimming fast. We set up baskets and wooden fences underwater. Every few days, we'd go check and bring fish up to smoke and store. Some families started staying at the new base full-time. They called it, Safe Base. I liked that name. It made me feel calm. We also went back to Base 1 a few times. We locked the main door again and sealed the air vent I used to crawl in. That place was too big, and had no water or power, but it still had tools and supplies. We said it would be the last option if anything ever went wrong. One night, we sat around a small fire at Base 2. The stars were out. The waterfall was quiet in the background. Tala looked out past the fence and whispered, "Feels like home." I hugged my knees and smiled. Yeah, it does. I looked around at everyone. Tired faces, dirty clothes, but smiling. I remember that morning clearly. The sun was soft and gold. The sea looked calm. I was with Tala, checking the fish traps near Base 2, when one of the shore guards came running. His face was pale. He was out of breath. "2 boats," he said. passing the broken bridge, heading to our island. My stomach dropped. We ran back fast. The guards had already hidden in their spots, behind trees, behind rocks. They had bows ready, machetes beside them. We didn't want to fight. We just wanted to warn them. Then the boats came closer. 2 of them, wooden, slow. I saw people inside, 4 or 5 in each. Some of them had guns. I felt my heart beating fast. I didn't say a word. The village head stepped out from behind a tree. He shouted loud, "This land is taken. You should leave." One of the men on the boat shouted back, "We mean no harm. We're just scavengers." "There's nothing here," the village head said again. "Go back." They looked at us, then at each other. I thought they might not listen. But after a long pause, they turned their boats and left. Even after they were gone, I couldn't breathe easy. That night, we had a big meeting. Everyone came. Some of the older villagers, the ones who survived the zombie years, were scared. I saw one fall to the floor. Another was holding her chest like it hurt. "They will come back," one elder said. "People change when they're hungry or scared. They could hurt us." I saw my parents in the crowd. My mother had tears in her eyes. My father held her hand. That night, I couldn't sleep. The next day, we started building traps. All around the shore. We didn't stop for weeks. We dug deep holes with sharp sticks inside. We made wooden paths that would break if someone stepped on them. We put up 3 rows of poles with barbed wire, thick and rusty. Hard to cross. We made fake paths that led into pits. Only the guards knew the real way in and out. We hid sharp animal traps under leaves. We even made lookout towers from scrap wood. Quiet, hidden. The guards moved farther back, watching from the trees, ready. It had been 2 months since the last boat came. We thought maybe they gave up. Maybe they forgot about us. We were wrong. That morning, while I was helping plant spinach at the base garden, I heard the horn from the shore guard tower. 1 long blow, then 2 short ones. Someone was coming. We all froze. The guards ran fast to the shore. I followed quietly, staying low behind the trees. I wasn't supposed to be there. But I had to see. 1 boat, 4 people, all men. 3 held guns. 1 had his hands tied in front, rope tight. They dragged him like a dog. I heard the guard shout, "Turn back. Do not enter," but the men didn't listen. They stepped into the shore and walked toward the fence. They pushed through the first line of barbed wire. Even with all the sharp metal, they kept coming. Their clothes tore. 1 man's leg bled badly. But still, they came. Then I heard shouting, loud and angry. They were fighting with each other. I hid behind a tree, heart beating fast. Then something happened that I'll never forget. The man with the tied hands, he rushed forward. Fast. He pushed one of the men hard into the fence. The sound of the man's scream was sharp. Terrible. The barbed spikes tore through his back. He howled, shaking. The other 2 men grabbed the tied man, furious. They threw him to the ground. One pointed a gun at his head. I held my breath. No shot came. Instead, after a moment, the 3 of them pulled their injured friend off the fence and dragged him away. They left the tied man behind. Just like that. No words. No looking back. I saw the man slump to the ground. He didn't move. One of our guards reported to the village head fast. Soon after, a big meeting was called. Everyone was tense, whispering, scared, angry. "What if it's a trick?" someone said. "What if he's infected?" said another. "But he's alone now," my mother said quietly. "He didn't choose this." The village head stood up. "No one gets through the fence," he said. "But we won't let a man starve." 3 of the guards were chosen. They wore thick gloves and masks. They carried a small tent, a blanket, 2 bottles of water, and some dried bread and rice. They left it 10 steps from the fence. From far, they used a long pole with a knife tied to the tip to cut the man's ropes. His hands were bruised and swollen. He didn't say anything. He didn't move for a while. Now he sleeps in the tent outside the fence. We all take turns watching from the towers. No one's allowed to go near him. No one talks to him. Not yet. Some kids asked me, what if he's lying? What if he's bad? I didn't know what to say. He looked broken. But sometimes, broken things still hide danger. And even if he's not, I'm scared of what brought him here. We still don't know who those men were. Or what they wanted. Or if they'll come again. But one thing's clear now. The world outside, it's still dangerous. Still full of people who will hurt others to survive. And we must protect what we have. Even if it means guarding our kindness with a fence. We watched the man every day. He didn't just sit around. He moved his small tent under a tree. He found some sticks and old ropes, and used them to block the wind. He was smart, careful. When we gave him food and water, we didn't say anything. We left it from far away. He never came close. He only took the food after we left. It was like he knew. We didn't trust him, but he didn't try to bother us. But deep inside, we all knew, we had to talk to him. He came from outside. He saw the world. We needed to know what was going on out there. So one day, we wrote him a note. What is happening outside? Please tell us. We gave you food. Help us understand. We left the note with food and a pen and paper. The next day, when we came back, our note was gone. A new paper was there. I opened it and read. My hands felt cold. Zombies are still everywhere. The base I was in is full of fighting. A man named Ryan wanted to be the leader. He is bad. I didn't want him to lead. So they tied me up. They planned to trade me for food. When they saw your strong fence, they gave up. They saw you look healthy. They think you have food. They will come back. Knowing Ryan, he will definitely come back. You must prepare. My chest felt tight. I looked around. No one spoke. A guard just stood there, staring at the paper. A woman near me held her daughter close. Her hands were shaking. We were all scared. That man's words felt heavy. Like a warning bell ringing inside my head. They know about us now. They know we have food. After we read Henry's warning, the whole village changed. We stopped thinking we were just farming or fishing now. We started preparing like we were going to war. We trained harder. We made new traps. We added more fences. We set sharp stakes hidden in the ground. We taught even the kids where to run and hide. Everyone helped. We dug more ditches. We hid oil cans and flammable cloth in places only the guards knew. We sharpened every arrow. We placed watchers on the hills at all times, day and night. The second base was turned into a fortress. We carried more supplies there, water, tools, seeds, dried fish. That base became our last line if the worst came. Henry helped. He was still outside the fence, but he wrote us more letters. We gave him paper, and he gave us warnings. He wrote about Ryan. Never believe Ryan. If he smiles, it's a lie. If he begs, he's hiding a knife. He only wants control. He only wants to rule. Henry made a small underground hole near the trees, covered it with leaves and grass. He could crawl in and stay hidden. Then, 1 month passed. They came back. I still remember that morning clearly. The wind was quiet, the sky soft gray. Then the alarm sound came. 3 quick bird calls. Our warning signal. 4 boats. 18 men. 5 had guns. One of them was Ryan. I knew it was him. Even from afar, he stood tall, like he owned the sea. His gun on his back. His eyes scanning everything. They came with wooden planks. Thick ones. They brought ladders. They planned to climb. They were going to cross our fences. But they didn't know, we were ready. Our guards were already in position. Hidden behind trees and bushes, in small dugouts, up in trees. Their bows were ready, arrows pointed, and I was up on the hill with my friends, heart racing. This was it. I held my breath. Ryan's man was just an inch away from the fence. His hand reached out, ready to place the plank over the spikes. Then, a soft bird call. That was the signal from our head guard. In a blink, a row of arrows flew through the air. Fast and sharp. 2 men dropped instantly. No scream. Just fell. The 4 others with guns started shouting, spinning around, trying to spot us. But we were already gone, hiding behind the trees and ditches we had dug. Then, another wave of arrows. From another group, hidden on the side. 3 more of Ryan's men fell. I could hear the panic in their voices. Gunshots rang out as they fired blindly into the trees, hitting nothing but bark and leaves. They couldn't come closer. The barbed fence was in their way. We waited, then another rain of arrows. After a few moments, only 2 were left. Ryan and 1 other man. They crouched behind the wooden plank they brought, shielding themselves. Then Ryan shouted, "We surrender." We didn't shoot, but we didn't move either. All our arrows stayed aimed at them. They raised their hands, slowly. Still holding guns. Then they backed away, but I didn't feel safe. None of us did. We knew men like Ryan. If he walked away now, he would just come back. Maybe with more, maybe with worse. Then our head guard gave a firm order. Just 1 word. Now. All arrows flew again. This time, the last 2 dropped. It was over, but there was no cheer. No celebration. We didn't speak. We didn't smile. We just stood there, breathing hard. We had defended our home. But it didn't feel like victory. Henry came out from his hiding spot later. He didn't say much, just nodded at the guards from a distance. He walked down to the shore. He cleaned the place himself, dragging bodies to one side, piling them up, setting them on fire. The smoke rose high. The smell was awful, but it had to be done. He took the guns and ammo, laid them by the fence. He kept one gun, for himself. Just in case. He left a note. Thank you for trusting me. I will go back. I will try to fix things. Maybe grow something with the seeds. If I can make it better there, I will. Stay strong. Stay hidden. We packed some seeds, added into Henry's food box, placed it on the rock outside the fence. Then, one morning, Henry was gone. He took one boat, towed another behind it. The 2 other boats were left on the shore. We dragged them, flipped them, and hid them under thick leaves and branches. We tied them tight to the ground so they won't drift away. That day was quiet, but inside me, my heart still felt the battle. Every noise made me turn my head. Every shadow made my hand reach for a bow. We survived, but now we knew how close danger really was. The fences saved us, so we made more. We added sharper wires, dug deeper trenches, hid more traps, and slowly, we began to live again. Henry came back. We saw the boat early in the morning, small and quiet, moving through the misty shore. He didn't come close. Just like before, he stayed outside the fence. Then, he left something. Books. A small stack tied with rope. He didn't say a word. Just nodded once at the fence. Then turned and left. I watched from the lookout post, heart beating fast. We waited until the boat was far enough. Then the guards carefully went out, collected the books, and brought them inside. They were filled with drawings, instructions, simple words. How to grow crops, clean water, make soap, even how to build with mud and stone. This is good, our village head said quietly. Real good. We cleared a new patch of land on the far side of the island, past the stream, beyond the tall trees. Still fenced, still guarded, but close enough to share air, not danger. We built 3 small houses from wood and mud. Just simple ones. Put barrels of clean water, food, and left a note. You can stay here, safe, but not near us yet. We are afraid of the sickness. Please understand. When Henry came again, I was there. He read the note slowly, his hands holding the paper like it was something fragile. Then I saw his face soften. He smiled, just a little. He looked back at his people on the boat. They're letting us stay, he said. Over there, on that land. His friends looked at him, not believing it at first. But when they saw the houses and barrels, their eyes lit up. Then after 1 week, boat came with Henry. Henry's people. Those people looks thin, pale. A woman in her 50s dropped to her knees and kissed the ground. Another man let out a laugh and ran toward the river. Water, he shouted. Real, clean water. Some of them jumped into the stream, clothes and all, splashing like little kids. Henry stood there, silent. I watched from behind the fence. Our eyes met. He gave a small wave. I didn't wave back, but I nodded. That was enough. Weeks passed. More people came with Henry. Never too many at once. Always respectful. Always stayed on their side. The 3rd base was abandoned. Ryan's people were gone. No one wanted to go back there. After months, we began to talk to them through the fence. No touching. Just words. Stories. One night, an old man from Henry's group shared what had happened before. He used to be a scientist. They made vaccines, he said. It worked for a while. Then it didn't. Some people changed after taking it. Worse than before. The labs fell. The smart people died or ran. He looked at us. This island, you're lucky. You're safe. Thank you for sharing with us. I didn't say anything. I just sat and listened. Some of us cried quietly that night. Not out of fear, but because we realized how close we had come to forgetting the world's pain. They had lived it, and now, somehow, we were all surviving together. Separate, but not alone. The end.